Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Lempan with ID number 210502502066. So in this video, I'm going to talk about using corrective feedback effectively in teaching speaking skill. Okay, for the first is introduction. Speaking skill is one of the skills that must be mastered in learning English because it is a skill to communicate both verbally and non-verbally in various contexts. There are many ways that can be used so the students are interested in participating in learning. One way is by providing feedback. One of the feedback that can be provide positive feedback on the student learning process is called corrective feedback. Feedback is related to student performance information and is a correction of their performance. Providing feedback is expected to be able to increase student learning motivation to continue to try to improve their efficiencies. Feedback has an important role for students because in this way students can find out how far the material has been mastered and can be correct their abilities. Besides that, feedback is also very important for teachers because with feedback the teacher can find out how far the material being taught has been mastered by students. The next is discussion. Speaking is an interactive process of constructing meaning involving information production, reception, and processing. Although it can be unpredictable, it is often spontaneous, open-ended, and involving. Therefore, speaking is a process of generating, acquiring, and processing information that may be seen to be accurate and fluid. Okay, the next is aspect of speaking. For the first is pronunciation. Pronunciation is the method through which pupils generate words clearly when they speak. The second is vocabulary. A general definition of vocabulary is the words we teach in other language. The third is grammar. Grammar is characterized as a methodical approach to measuring and forecasting an ideal speaker's or hearer's linguistic proficiency. For the next is fluency, the ability to talk fluently, confidently, and at the pace of adheres to the standards of the relevant native speech community is known as fluency. The last one is accuracy. Accuracy is the capacity to pronounce words accurately that are depend on the elements of discourse, phonology, and grammar. The next is strategies and types of corrective feedback. Number one is strategies. Corrective feedback is believed to have both positive and negative effect on student learning. Positive comment can provide students with input and support for learning English as a foreign language that they cannot acquire from sources outside the classroom. Corrective feedback strategies involve providing feedback to pupils in order to address their errors. Number two is types of corrective feedback. For the first is explicit correction. It implies that the teacher will directly correct the pupil's statement and provide the appropriate one. The second is recast. It signifies that the teacher reformulates the pupil's statement or utterance after implicitly correcting them. The third is clarification request. It simply means that the instructor requests that the pupils repeat or check their statement or words. The next is metalinguistic feedback. It implies that the teacher will correct pupils' errors in speech immediately. The next is elicitation. Indicates that the teacher will use elicitation to invite the pupils to finish or reformulate the teacher's utterance. The next is guidelines for corrective feedback. Number one is teacher must inform the pupils of the purpose, guidelines, and corrective feedback techniques. Number two, teacher shouldn't be reluctant to point out pupils' errors. Number three, teacher should select specific language target for correction. Number four, teachers should make sure that students are aware of the corrections they are receiving. Number five, teacher must be able to use a variety of corrective feedback techniques. Number six, teachers should be able to directly or indirectly regulate the time spent giving oral or written remedial feedback. Number seven, teacher must be make room for students to accept the correction. Number eight, teachers should be prepared to modify who, when, and how they correct. Number nine, teachers should frequently be prepared to rectify pupil errors so they might improve. And the last one is teachers should keep an eye on how much corrective feedback stresses out students. Okay, for the last is conclusion. In English class, speaking is an important skill to communicate with others, but in fact, students are still lacking in their speaking ability. Aspects of evaluating this should be evaluated in speech, including pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, correctness, and fluency. Every student has a different skill to speak English and have their own problem. So to solve the problem based on what the researcher found, the researcher attempted to use corrective feedback strategies to improve students' speaking skills. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.